Why did your friend group break up? Brought in a new girlfriend. It wasn't one of those typical Yoko Ono situations where she pulled me away. She basically stole all my friends, so when we broke up, no one would talk to me because they chose her. Really sucked at the time, but I've got better friends now.
Girl A told Girl B that this boy was cheating on B. B called A liar and physically fought her. All my friends took different sides. I remained neutral like Switzerland. I am now the one with no friends since those backing A were angry I was still talking to those backing B and vice versa.
I think most of my group still hangs out, but over the last 5 years, I've just stopped talking to them. I used to be a huge partier, but had a major health event that has effectively ended it. I no longer drink or do hard drugs. I just lost interest with them since it all revolved around getting beep up. I used to go out maybe a few times a year, but after the social distancing this past year, I lost touch even more. On top of that, my longest friend unexpectedly died due to drugs earlier this year. I'm glad I got out when I did because I was on track for the same fate. On top of that, I stopped doing Facebook because beep Facebook, and that has contributed as well. I recently saw they all got together for some 100 days celebration of my friend dying, but nobody invited me and I found out after the fact. Sometimes you just grow up and leave it behind.
Friend 1 single and likes it that way. Friend 2 married and likes it that way. Friend 3 accused friends 1 and 2 of having sex. Friend 1's sexual orientation is incompatible with ever having sex with friend 2, and friend 2 would never cheat anyways. Friend 3 refused to even discuss it with friend 1 or 2 and just stopped talking to both of them.
Grew up and found better people. Big world out there.
Graduated and we all moved away from our hometown. Sad, but I guess a quite common thing to happen.
We all had pretty bad issues with depression and school life. After our friend committed suicide, the grief was too much and broke us all apart for good. It was a good thing though, we were all really toxic towards each other. 4, then 3 teenagers with heavy issues with depression and self-harm did not make a good cocktail.
Wife ran off with best friend out of the blue, moved out of state. Existing friend circles seemed perfectly fine with that. Didn't want friends like that.
We all had an orgy and everyone was too embarrassed to look at each other after, so we just stopped talking. Sad day.
They tossed me out of nowhere. One night one of my male friends confessed he's got feelings for me and I calmly rejected him. I'm married. Apparently, I was the beep because I hurt his feelings. Lol.
They didn't, they just stopped talking to me.
Time and distance means both parties have to work at it to keep it going. There are a lot of people I thought I'd remain friends with all my life who are now people I will always remain in contact with, and if they ever want to try and reconnect, my door is open, and I hope the same offer is open to me should I want to reach out. I think there's also something to the idea that what made us friends back then isn't who we are today. The friends I am still friends with from my high school days or my university days or my first job days have grown up with me and like me for who I am now, not who I was when we first met, and vice versa. There are people I stay in touch with for the sake of shared history who I am confident we will never make new memories together. That's okay. I care about them to the extent that I like to know they're doing okay, and that's enough for both of us.
Cocaine. Steve always had a coke problem and so did Shane. Then I got one and it was bad. All the girlfriends blamed Steve and Shane for what happened to me as they introduced me to it. Then Steve got too coked out while I was at rehab and best the beep out of Shane. I still talk to Shane occasionally hoping he's ready to quit drinking, but the rest of them are long gone. Drugs suck.
One thing I've learned in my 43 years on this planet is that the majority of people that you befriend in life are friends of proximity and convenience. As soon as you stop living or working in close proximity with them, they slowly fade away. Now this is not to say that all people are like that, and those few people that value relationships and need them for mental health, are the keepers. These few will be with you in one form or another until you're dead. A perfect example of the keepers are my 4 high school friends that fly from Arizona to Colorado every summer to stay and accompany me for 3 amazing nights of widespread panic at Red Rocks. One of them has been with me since 5th grade. These are the ones that reach out from time to time just to check in. They all have busy lives of their own, but they understand that friendship is a two-way street and requires maintenance to stay strong, much like a marriage. Friend groups will come and go throughout your life, but every once in a while one of them that you really connect with, that shares your same values will peel off and join the ranks of keepers. Hold on to these for dear life. They will be your light in dark times and will make it a priority to stay in contact, wherever you may be.
One person dated the other, and when they broke up, it caused a civil war.
Paul, George and Ringo didn't like my new wife.
Group was a 7 people including a pair of best friends from high school. We all went to college together and had a D&D group once a week. One of the best friends was the DM and we had a really good game going. We had just had a very deep session where one of the players had been empathizing with an NPC about being an orphan and what it's like to feel like you don't belong, which culminated in the NPC adopting the player into his family. There would be a party planned for the next session to celebrate the new family bonds. We get there the next week and the party was a sex dungeon. We were all super uncomfortable, but the best friend of the DM was really into it and would literally leave the table to play games on her phone if we didn't go along with whatever the two of them wanted. We all dragged through that night and then skipped the next session. The DM then texted us she was too busy to keep playing, and we were all so uncomfortable playing with the two of them again that I set up a session 0 for a new campaign and didn't invite them. One of the guys who was totally on our side about the whole thing ended up telling them we weren't inviting them to the new session, and there was a pretty big blowout. I still think it was justified that I didn't want 2 people who roleplayed a sex dungeon back into the weekly game night I hosted at my apartment and cooked for regularly. I could have probably handled it better, but also I was 19 and didn't want to.
There was this one girl, let's call her H, who was sort of I'm not sure how to explain this, rape apologist? The first girl was kicked out while she was recovering from being raped by another member of our group. I had no idea until the girl told me years later. H told this poor girl she was overthinking it, it wasn't rape. H herself had sex with this guy too and he was a perfect gentleman. Anyways, same thing happens to me. I get raped by a stranger that H was friends with. H tries to set me up with another guy 1 week after I had been raped. I told her no, but both her and this guy kept trying to push it. H spread the word that I was a liar, I lied about being raped, etc. All of these friends stopped talking to me. I'm beyond glad. At the time, it sucked, doing the whole post-trauma helping thing alone. But they were absolutely vile and toxic. The only one I still talk to is that first girl who was kicked out too. She shared her story with me and I realized that it was a pattern.
It's just one guy that kind of removed himself. Dude just went from relationship to relationship and had no clue on how to balance friendships with relationships. Friendships are a relationship too and they always fail if you put no effort into them. Damn shame.
Over time we just stopped talking as much. It's not official that we've broken up, we just haven't all spoken since 2017, back when I was in secondary school.
It was 3 of us and we were inseparable back in high school. Then, when the girl I was crushing on started hanging out with us more, one of my friends started acting different. At first, he was going out of his way to look good in front of her and like a really good funny guy. It was annoying. Then it moved to him lying to me and talking beep about me to her and other people. And finally, he started to grope her under the thinly veiled excuse of wrestling. A dozen talks and all of them ending in him threatening suicide later. I told him to beep off and broke it off.
Jimmy quit. Jody got married. I should have known we'd never get far.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.